Hey, Indian Creek 8th grade students. Welcome to our e-learning lesson for today. It is Monday, April 27th. I hope that everyone had a wonderful long weekend. I hope that you were able to go out, enjoy some of the nicer weather, spend some time with your family, and just go do some things that you really enjoy. So without any further ado, let's jump into our daily updates. So for Friday, we had 43 out of 51 students who submitted their attendance. That's great. That was right on our pace with the rest of the week. And then for language arts, we had 12 people out of the 51 who completed the quizzes, Unit 10 quiz. Everybody who went through and finished the quiz got the score that they needed to get full credit in the grade book. That's awesome. And we had a couple people get perfect scores. So great job to those people as well. And then, so for our class plan for today, we will go over the Google form for attendance. We have a new kind of type of journal, well, not really journal, but attendance response that we're going to try for today, and maybe it'll go into the week. I didn't have anybody suggest anything that they wanted to see for this week, so, just continuing to mix things up, trying new stuff, be interested to see some of the responses that we get. We will preview Animal Farm Chapter 7 on the stream today, and then that is going to be your assignment for language arts. And then, since it's Monday, it's been 2 weeks, we will start a new optional vocab unit, Unit 11. That intro sheet is going to get sent out into Google Classroom, so that is out there for you to complete as well. Again, for anybody who would like to go out and complete it. And then for social studies, we will be extending our civil rights activist biography assignment. We'll talk about it a little bit, what to do if you're not finished, what to do if you are finished, how long the extension is going to go, and so on and so forth. So that'll be all for social studies for today. All right, so before we jump into today's stuff, let's just look at Friday's journal highlights. Last week, we were doing some kind of poll type questions where you had to pick 3 of a certain category. Friday's theme was talking about candy brands. You could only save 3 of them to snack on for the rest of time. What are the 3 brands you were saving? There were a couple that I was surprised about, and a couple that I figured would be the top vote getter. So our number 1 vote getter was actually Kit Kat with 17 votes. Reese's was number 2 with 14, and then M&M's coming in 3rd with 12. Then regular old Hershey bar. Well, I shouldn't say regular Hershey bars, but Hershey's bars came in 4th with 11, so very close to cracking that top 3. And then Starburst, as Dayton and several other people I'm sure will be relieved to know, they did sneak into the top 5 at number 10. I'll be honest, if I would have guessed which was going to come in number 1, I probably would have thought that Reese's was going to be our number 1 vote getter, just because between the cups, Reese's Pieces, just some of the other candy bars that they do, I figured that those, get Reese's eggs in the springtime. I figured that Reese's was going to be number 1. And Kit Kat, because, I know they do regular Kit Kat, like white chocolate, dark chocolate, but it doesn't quite have the same variety as some of those other ones. Obviously, those of you who know me probably know that I would have picked things like Sour Patch, gummy worms, more like fruit type stuff. But, I have been known to snack down on some Reese's and that type of stuff too. So overall, those are your top 5. And then, so like I said, moving forward, we will be doing some new different type journal response questions. So that being said, let's jump over into our Google form for today. It is day 26 of e-learning. I did not realize that this is basically week 6 of e-learning. That seems so long. It's hard to grasp sometimes just how long we have been social distancing, how long it's been since we were actually together in classroom. Some days it feels like it really wasn't that long ago. Other days it seems like it was months and months ago. But it is day 26 of e-learning. It's crazy to think that it's been that long. And so the activities for today, part 1, like I said, Animal Farm. Please read chapter 7. Written version begins on page 25. The audiobook version begins around an hour and 35 minutes. This is a little bit of a longer chapter. I want to say that the audiobook version is about 23 minutes long. Some of the other chapters have been more like 15, 18. So this one is a little bit longer, but there is, I hope you would guess, that means that there is a lot of important stuff that happens with it being a longer chapter. Part 2, new vocab, hashtag new vocab, unit 11. The intro sheet is in Google Classroom today. So just like last time, it's out there. Anybody who fills it out, I will be going through tomorrow, checking to see if it's turned in, and then actually going in and making sure that it's filled out. There were some people last time who just clicked turned in but had a blank document. You're not going to get credit for doing that. And there were some people who had filled it out but also didn't hit turn in, and they did get credit because they did the work, just forgot to hit a button. So you will get credit for doing it as long as it's done before the stream goes live tomorrow at 10 o'clock. You can either submit it and then unsubmit it once we go over it, but it's the same as always. Definition of the word root, one example, and then one connection. And then just a reminder, I'd been mentioning this more last week too, but as we're getting down to the end of the year and it's now clear that we're just going to be doing e-learning for the rest of the school year, if there are any particular skills that you know that you would like to work on for the rest of the school year that you know that you want to improve on or that you want to get ready for high school, shoot me an email. Just say, I'd like to work on my writing. I'd like to work on my speaking. I feel like it'd be a big one. And I can come up with activities for you to do to practice those skills. For example, we had a student last week who said she wanted to work on her speaking, and came up with some activities together that will be interesting and hopefully also fun and help work on those speaking skills. So if you personally know that there are certain things that you would like to work on before the end of the school year, like I said, every day, I'm here for anything that you need, and will do my best to try and come up with something with your help that you're going to be interested and is going to help you improve. So just wanted to continue to throw that offer out there because, like I said, we're going to be doing e-learning the rest of the year. And for those of you who want to get that extra work in, I'm more than happy to try and do my best to help you. All right, and then part 3, our attendance response. Today, we are saying we're putting you in the shoes of a casting director of a new movie, and you need to fill out some specific roles for your film. So for your response today, you're going to be casting one person, 3 people, 3 roles in your movie, and then if you would like to, you can add why. You don't have to, just because the reading assignment for today is a little bit longer, and I don't want anyone to feel like they have to go too far over the required work amount. But if you feel like you have a really good explanation, or you want to add some explanation why you chose the people you chose, you're welcome to do that as well. All right, each role can be a celebrity, a musician, whoever you want. So there's no requirement that it has to be a movie star. It's really up to you. So I gave you 2 options. The first option is if you were going to cast an action movie, you need to choose an action star, a sidekick, and then the main villain. All right, so obviously your action star can be male, female, young, old, sidekick, same thing, and then the villain, the same thing. If you want to have fun with it and add like an overall plot, you can do that as well. But again, that's not required. That's just something fun, extra, if you would like to do it. And then for option 2, if you're not really down with action movies and you would rather do a comedy or a romantic movie, you need to pick your lead. So your lead comedian or your lead romantic lead. And then if it's a comedian, go with the best friend. If it's a romantic lead, go with the love interest. And then you want an antagonist. So an antagonist is just, instead of saying like a villain, just someone standing in their way. So if you were to be casting a romance, if your lead and his or her love interest. The antagonist could be another person who's also vying for the love interest, for example. All right. And then again, like I said, you can add why, you can add a plot if you want. Paige just asked, can it be someone who isn't alive? Absolutely. If you would like to have your movie stars or musicians or whoever be someone who has passed on, I am all right with that. We will say that we can bend the rules of time to answer this journal response. All right, and remember, there are two options, so you do not have to fill them both out. Just pick one, or again, if you want to do both, obviously you can do both. That is really up to you. I just wanted to give people options so that if you didn't really want to do a romantic comedy or you didn't really want to do an action movie, you had that choice. All right, so that is it for the Google form for today. And then we will move over to Animal Farm to preview Chapter 7 here. So 3 things to look out for in Chapter 7 of Animal Farm. Look out for the changes that you see to life on the farm. All right, we talked in Chapter 6 how Napoleon is in charge. We're starting to see the pigs kind of rise up as a superior class to the rest of the animals. We're starting to see a little bit of an imbalance of where they stay, the food that they're given, things like that. So do we see continued changes of the same type moving forward? And then obviously you can decide, are they good things, bad things? Were they always going to happen? But just changes to life on the farm in general. Because remember, the whole idea of Animal Farm is that they're free of man, animals are equal, they're free, life is better. So that's the type of change that they want. Is that the same type of change that we're actually seeing play out? Also keep in mind the quote-unquote role that Snowball plays in this chapter. Not to spoil it, but Snowball does not actually show up. We don't actually see him doing anything, but his name continues to play a role on Animal Farm. We saw this a little bit again in Chapter 6. So how does that continue on in Chapter 7? Because remember, he was blamed for the windmill getting knocked down. And that's up to you to decide if you think Snowball actually came back, knocked it down, or if the gigantic storm that they had was what actually knocked it down. And then finally, towards the end of the chapter, we have this really emotional scene with Clover kind of looking out over the farm and just, talking about her, what she's seeing, what she's feeling. And so how is her outlook reflective of what's going on? So it's a really important part of Chapter 7, so just be on the lookout for that towards the end of the chapter. All right, so that's the preview for Chapter 7. Those are just 3 things to keep an eye out for, an ear out for while you're moving through it. And then finally, let's just look through briefly for those of you who are going to be filling this out. This is the intro sheet for Unit 11. All right, we have 7 word roots again. And same as always, you're filling out the definition, 1 example, and 1 connection for each of them. All right, and just don't forget the connection is how your example word is reflective of that word root's definition. All right, and then just as always, a reminder, when you're going through and looking, make sure you type in the word root and then type in the words word root definition. Because, for example, I can tell you that a port is that's an actual word that you can find a definition for. That is not the definition of the word root port. So make sure that you put the phrase word root in there when you're looking for the definition. All right. So for language arts, again, read Animal Farm Chapter 7. I gave you some things to look out for. And then if you would like to complete this intro sheet for Unit 11 word roots of the week, that is there. And if you get it done before the stream tomorrow at 10 o'clock, you get full credit. And I'll obviously be going through checking in Google Classroom for that. All right. Then for social studies, let's transition over really quickly. We are going to extend the deadline for this assignment until Wednesday. So you get today and you get tomorrow. Because when I was looking through this morning, I want to say we had about 2/3 of people who had turned them in. And there were just some inconsistencies that I noticed in some of the ones that I saw. And then also, obviously, a very large number of people who hadn't finished it. So, like I said, e-learning and timing-wise, we're all kind of learning as we go. I would rather give people some extra time to make sure that they can do a good job than just rush through and force them to turn it in. So just a reminder that I would say out of the 4 areas that you need to be including on your slides, and I've got them highlighted here, and actually I'll zoom in a little bit just in case people need a reminder. But the basics, the relevant picture, those are important. But really the most important area is this bottom one, the section that explains how your activist impacted the civil rights era. And there were some people who, in terms of information, wrote maybe like 70% biography and only 30% in the civil rights era. And if you look at the example that I did on Ralph Abernathy, you can see that on this side, on the left on the screen, his biography is definitely shorter than the section here on the right side, which is how he impacted the civil rights movement. So just try and get more of a balance, either towards 50-50, or if you're going to have more information, have more about the civil rights era. All right, because the main focus of this assignment is to help you see the number of people who played important roles, and that it's not just Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, Malcolm X, and kind of those big figures. That there were all these other people who were involved in so many different ways. And so what you'll find, hopefully, is that so many of your activists played roles in multiple ways. It wasn't like one of them just took part in the Montgomery bus boycott, or they just organized one protest. So many of them were involved in multiple aspects of the civil rights movement that you really want to make sure that you give enough time and space to describing that in full. All right, so if you're someone who did not finish your slide for today, obviously take today and tomorrow to do that in terms of your social studies work time. If you're someone who did finish and did turn it in, 2 options I would say. The first one is you can go through, use this time to review and edit the information you have, maybe go for more of a balance, maybe add some more facts about your character or your figure's involvement in the civil rights movement, but just stick with the activists that you chose. Or if you're looking for additional credit for doing this project again, you could choose another activist and do a slide about him or her as well. I know that that would be a little bit more work intensive, but I know that that all of you could do that because I know how hard you can work, I know how quickly you can work and do a good job finding this type of information. So that's up to you. If you were someone who wasn't originally planning on doing a second activist, but now think that it would be a good idea, you obviously are more than welcome to do that. And I wanted to bring up here, let's see, it's going to load pretty quickly. Just in case any of you were wondering, the activists who have not been chosen, or at least who were not chosen in that original Google form that they had to fill out, just in case you were thinking, I'd like to do a second activist and maybe I can do someone who hasn't been chosen yet. The list here on the right, and hopefully my stream hasn't switched over yet, but hopefully my head's not blocking too many of them. You can choose one of these people if you're wanting to make your slides original. And it looks like, it's spaced perfectly. So again, if you want to do someone who has already been chosen, that's totally fine too. I just wanted to put that information out there just in case anybody was wondering. All right, so social studies, again, 2 more days to work on these civil rights activist slides. You can either finish your first one or be editing your first one, adding information to it, or be doing a second one if you would like. And then for language arts, you have your form, read Chapter 7 of Animal Farm, and then the optional intro sheet for Vocab Unit 11. Tomorrow on the stream, I'll be going over Chapter 7 in Animal Farm. We'll be going over the vocab sheet. There will be another optional assignment. And like I said, if you have things that you know you'd like to work on in terms of skills or things like that by the end of the year, shoot me an email and we'll work together to come up with something for you to work on. All right. Other than that, though, like I said, I hope that everyone had a wonderful weekend and got to go do some fun things. We've got 4 more weeks of e-learning. I'm hoping that we can finish strong. Like I said, everyone's been doing such a good job, and I've been hearing from a lot of you, and even those of you I haven't been hearing from. Like I said, I hope that you're staying safe. I hope that you're getting to spend time with people you care about and dealing with our unprecedented time that we're all going through. But yeah, so email, as always, if you have anything, any questions, any concerns, just want to reach out. We are all here for you. We miss all of you, and we're hoping that we'll get to see you sometime soon, even if this isn't going to be the end of the year that we were all hoping for. All right, so I will be back tomorrow with our live stream. Until then, everyone stay safe, and I will see you next time.